Good morning, boys and girls. This is lesson 1, problem set. Okay, so we're on page number 2, and today we are working on number lines. So I'm going to start with the first one. It says right here, plot L so that its distance from the origin is 20. So I kind of like to figure out what does each mark tell me. What is the numerical number for that so that I don't get confused, or if I mess up, I'll know why exactly where the number is. I'm not guessing where 20 is randomly. I'm figuring out exactly where it should be on this number line. So first thing I have here is 35, and over here I have 50. So what I like to do is I like to label what each line is so that I know I'm doing this correctly. So I'm looking at 5, and I'm guessing this number line is actually, skip counting by 5s. So I'm starting here, 35, 40, 45, 50. That is right. So I'm going to put 35, 40, and then 45, 50. On this side, I'm counting backwards. So 35, 30, and then after 30 is 25, and the last one is 20. So 20 is the origin, and that's where I'm going to plot L. So I'm writing the letter L right above 20 because they told me the origin is there, and they asked me to plot L. So I plotted it right there. I'm going to make sure I do my little circle so that it is now plotted. Okay, now I'm moving on to problem D. For problem D, it asked me to plot a point T so that its distance from the origin is 2/3 more than that of S. Okay, 2/3 more of S. The first thing I'm going to do, not even bothering with what it's asking me to do, I'm going to figure out how I'm going to split up this number line. And to figure that out, I'm going to count how many points there are from 4. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That means that this number line is split into 6. So I'm going to write my numbers so that I know exactly where things are. So this is 4 and this is 5. So that means it's eventually going to count up to 5. And remember when we did fractions, we started with 4, and I said earlier there are 6 of these markers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm writing 6 as my denominator, and I'm figuring out what is my numerator. So my numerator, because this is 0/4, then this must be 1, sorry, not 0/4, 0/6, and this one is going to be 1/6, 4 and 1/6, 4 and 1/6, so the next one is 4 and 2/6. The next one is 4 and 3/6. The next one is 4 and 4/6. And the next one is 4 and 5/6, and the last one is 4 and 6/6, which is 1, and that gives you 5, right? So looking at this number, 4 and 1/3 is equivalent to 4 and 2/6. How do I know that? When I divide the top and bottom number by 2, I'm going to get 4. 2 divided by 2 is equal to 1. 6 divided by 2 is equal to 3. I get 4 and 1/3, which are the exact same numbers. So now that I figured out what each numerical number is, now I need to figure out where 2/3 is, okay? So let's say if I were to multiply 2/3 times, let's see, 2/3. So if I were to go 2/3 more than that of S, that's what they're asking me to do. I know 1/3 is right here, so if I were to go 2/3, my point T is going to be right here. Okay, and how did I figure that out? So if I were to add 2/3 to letter S, so 4 and 1/6 plus 2/3. Okay, you make a fraction. So I know that I can change the 6. Let's move the 4 over a little bit. I know that I can change the 6. I'm going to multiply that times 2 times 2. So I'm going to get 2/12 plus 2. Sorry, the other side I was supposed to multiply. So I'm supposed to multiply 2/3 on this side. So I'm going to multiply times 2 times 2, which gives me 4/6 plus 1/6, which equals to 5/6. Okay, so that means that is 4 and 5/6, and that's why I put 4 and 5/6 is where t is. And where does the 4 come from? It comes from the original problem S. 4 and 1/6 is right here. And then I added 2/3 to the problem to get my 4 and 5/6. And that's where I marked T. Now, for problem 3. It says right here, number line G is labeled 0 to 6. Use the number line G below to answer the questions. So I'm looking at the number line, and this number line is backwards. Look, it starts from 0 over here, and then all the way over here, you have your 6 on the left side. So it doesn't start from 0 and then 6, but 0 to 6. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the number line and see how many times it's split it up, because that's going to help me solve for it. So I notice that 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So split it into fourths, okay? And the first one asked me, number line G is labeled 0 to 6. Use number line G below to answer questions. The first one asked me to plot point A at 3/4, okay? At 3/4, I'm going to plot point A. Now I told you this number line is broken into fourths. So this one is 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, okay? Now A is labeled as 3/4, and we found our 3/4. So 1 would be 4/4. Now label a point that lies at 4 and 1/2 as B. So I'm looking for 4, and this is 4 right here, and I want to go to the half point. So this right here is going to be labeled as B. How do I know? It's right in the middle in between 4 and 5, which is the half point, okay? Because 2/4 is also equal to 1/2. Why is that? Because when I divide 2/4 divided by 2 over 2, they're equivalent to each other. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, 4 divided by 2 is 2, so that is also called my half point, okay? So I'm going to put 1/2 right there for you too. Next, for plot C, it asks me to label C, whose distance from 0 is 5 more than that of A. The coordinate of C is what? So they say it is 5 times more than that of A. So A is right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go 5 times more to label point A. Label point C, okay? So I'm going to go 5 times more. So 1, so this one is 0, 1/4, so this one is 1 and 1/4, and then I'm going to go 2 and 1/4, and then it's going to be 3 and 3/4, sorry, 3 and 3/4, and then we have 4 and 4/4, 4 and 3/4, sorry, and then the last one is 5 and 3/4, and that is exactly where C is. Now why? Why is that the coordinate for C? It says right here, from label point C, whose distance from 0 is 5 more than that of A. So they're asking you 5 times more than A. And this is where A is. So I counted 1 times, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. So that's your new point. That is point C. Now they ask me, what is the coordinate? So what is my number that belongs there? I know it's not 6, because 6 would be this way. So it's 5, okay? Because we have the fractions here, the decimals, and then we have our 1s, our 2s, our 3s, our 4, our 5s. So I'm going to break this down. This one right here would be 0/5. So this one, 5 and 0/5. And then this one would be 5 and 1/4. This one would be 5 and 2/4. And the last one would be 3 and 5 3/4. So my coordinate for C is 5 3/4. Now, the next one I need to figure out says right here, plot a point D whose distance from 0 is 1/4 less than that of B. So we know B is right here. So I'm subtracting 1 and 1/4 less. So that means that I'm going to move 1 and 1/4 less to find out what my number is for, what my coordinate is for D. So looking here, I know this is divided into 4, right? So to go 1 less, you're going to count 4 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I counted 4. And then I'm going to go 1/4 of that. So I'm going to, this is 1/4, so I just move 1 over. So that is my coordinate for D. Okay, so D, what is the coordinate? D is equal to 3 and 1/4. Now we have coordinate E. Coordinate E, the distance, I have to zoom out for you, or move up. There you go. The distance of E from 0 is 1 3/4. So this is coordinate E, is more than that of D. Plot point E. So I'm looking at D, and it says more than. So that means if it's more than, I'm going to move to my left right here, and we are at point D. So it says 1 3/4. So I told you 1 over. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 1 over. And then it tells me to go 3/4 more. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that is my new coordinate for E. Did I move over too much? Yeah. I forgot to count that one. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I move over 1, 2, 3. Okay, so it's this one right here. And that is my coordinate E. Oh, it doesn't ask me to write the coordinate? I guess not. But if I were to write it, I'm going to write it anyways. I would be exactly at 5. Now for coordinate F. What is the coordinate of the point that lies halfway between A and D? Label this point F. So I have A and D, and they want me to choose the halfway point between those two, A and D. And what I have right there, halfway, is the number 2. So this is going to be labeled as F. And you write the coordinate. So we have right here 2.